this ayah, in everyday task, and we most of the time we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim grasping
Mom, would you add?
without really grasping the meanings of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we don't really understand what is the meaning of this ayah and why we should start our daily tasks with this ayah. So this ayah is part of every surah. It's not that the it was revealed only one time, and Rasulullah has asked to put it at the beginning of every surah. No, the issue that it was revealed 113 times as the number of the surahs, except Surah At-Tawbah, which is the repentant surah, surah number 9. So actually, every time a new surah would come, a new Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim would come with it. It's not like just one time and then just before any surah starts, they just put it. No, it was revealed with every surah. And this gives us the importance of this ayah and give us another indication, which is there's a different meaning for every Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in every surah. So the meaning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in Surah Al-Fatiha is different than the meaning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in Surah, for example, As-Samad or Al-Ikhlas or Al-Falaq or Al-Nas. And this topic is really is not easy for like just normal people like us to know the meanings of uh, the Basmala, the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim of every surah. But there are just few scholars who talked about this. So for inshallah, we will talk about the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim of Surah Al-Fatiha. What does it mean, as Imam Khomeini says? So this is the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and we know that many ayat in the Quran talks about that we have to that to the prophets that they have to do things Bismillah. So even the first ayah that was revealed to the prophet, it was read in the name of your Lord. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. And even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, he told him after the flood that you have to before the flood that you have to write this and say Bismillah majraha wa marsaha. Like so, many more than one prophet in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks them to start some of their actions in their name. This gives us an indication that before doing any action, we have to connect that action with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have a tradition from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam that says the meaning of the tradition that um, any action that you start without the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a continuous action. What does it mean? Is it means that the effect of that action, it will just stay in this dunya and it will not go to the akhirah. Why? Because every action you tie it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be continuous. But every action which is not tied to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going just to have his effect in this dunya, and you are not going to take it to the hereafter. So, and when we say we tie whatever action we want to do with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the beginning of each action, it doesn't mean that we only say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Doesn't happen. Like you could say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim 100 times before you do anything, but your intention is not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what it really means to start any action with the name of Allah, it means that your heart, your intention, your awareness is there that whatever you are doing you are doing it for the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are eating, you are drinking, you are sleeping, you start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So you are saying, okay, I'm starting this this meal or whatever with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because I want to be this, I want to be the stronger human being or whatever intention you have. So basically starting any action we do with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is not something that we do in our tongue. It is something that should have a meaning. If it doesn't have a meaning, it will not take us to the right direction. So how the action will take us to the right direction? If the heart is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the moment where you are really asking his help to do this. So when you start your actions with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the actions are going to be successful, are going to be blessed, because it starts with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So usually, we have this custom that, we just say it without the awareness, without the conscious, but it doesn't have really that effect. And this gives us an implication that every activity should begin with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we said, because the stability of any action is just because it's related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No action that we do, any action, whatever this action is, if it's an action of any action is related to this life, the any afterlife, is it even if like in social relations and connecting with people, connecting with family, anything that you do, if it's not related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has no meaning. That's why we say like connecting with people too. If it doesn't have this intention that we are doing this for the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has no meaning. So when we say Bismillah at the start of Surah Al-Fatiha, it is teaching us to seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His name when we begin any action. And yeah, so this is basically, so um, I wanted to say something, but I forgot. Yeah. Yeah, and because Surah Al-Fatiha is the surah that starts the book, like it is the opener. It's called Al-Fatiha because it's the opener. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first chapter, He teaches us that we have to start actions in His name. So the letter Ba that you see, the letter Ba that you see at the beginning of the ayah, like this word, which is Bism, if you see at the top, it is not one. It looks like it's one word, but it's divided into two parts. The first letter, which is the Ba, just the Ba of it, is the beginning of the word. And this Ba, I don't know if you see my mouse here, just this Ba in the Arabic language means with the help. So that's why we say, like, sometimes you read just one ayah in the Quran and it's like few words, but when you go to the translation or whatever, you see that it is multiple of words, because only this letter, which is ba in the Arabic language, means with the help. Okay, so when I say Bismillah, I am, it means that with the help of the name of Allah. Just Bismillah, just focus on the mouse. Just Bismillah, the word Bismillah means with the help of the name of Allah. So that what means Bismillah. So when we come to the word Allah, Allah is the most complete and comprehensive name among all the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do we mean by that? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has many names and attributes, and we only assume, sometimes we assume that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala names are just 99 names, but the Quran is full of these names. It's more than that. So all of the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of them, they are in this ayah. All of them, they are in this word, sorry, Allah. So what do I mean by that? So if I say Allah, if I say Ar-Rahman, if I say Ar-Rahim, if I say Al-Halim, if I say all of these attributes, all of them, they are combined in the word of Allah. So if, in other words, if I want to define Allah, I would write Allah, 2 points, and I would open the brackets, and I will put there all of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I will close the brackets. So this is what Allah means. That's why this Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chosen this name because this name has all of the other attributes in it. So it didn't start with like another name for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, it's Allah because it has all of this. So basically when I'm starting Bismillah, I'm not using the word Allah this is really an important point. I just want you to focus here. I'm not using Allah as letters ALLAH, no, I'm not using the name of Allah here. I am, when we start Bismillah and we are asking help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His name, the Allah, I am using the actual manifestation of this word, the meaning of this word in this life. So basically, I am, when I say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I am using all of these attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at different, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me an attribute, depends on the action that I'm doing. So sometimes you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and you need more of His mercy. So He gives you from the name Allah the mercy. Sometimes you are going to go to a place. You are driving, so you need, for example, you are going to work, so you need sustenance. Bismillah al-Raziq. You need protection. For Bismillah the protector. You need the mercy all the time. So even in this small action that you are going to work with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, many of these attributes that are going to be manifested for you just by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then Allah will give you whatever you need, whatever it is required from that name. So that's why Allah uses the word Bismillah. He didn't use any other words because all of the meanings, all of the attributes, they are all of it in this name. So it is the most comprehensive name. That's why we should use, I don't know, I always say this, but it is, time to reflect on this, that we always should use the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are really a good tool to approach Him. And this is what He says in the Quran. So whatever you have, just use the right name for whatever you need. Sometimes you need sustenance, so you go for Ismallah al-Razaq. You need security, you need sometimes love, whatever you need, you just go for the right name and then you will take from that name. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you from that name. So that's why we start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So to sum up, Bismillah, Allah is an independent word, which is the personal name of God. So, and they will say in the Arabic language, Allah is called Allah, but in English language, Allah is called God. Some of them say Allah is exact the same meaning of God, but it's like just a translation. But some of them, they don't agree with that, because Allah has no other meaning, no other definition. No one can comprehend the true meaning of Allah in other language. So basically, God is a poor translation for Allah, according to some scholars. And that's why they recommend like using Allah in English and Arabic at the same time, because Allah in Arabic does not mean the same thing as God in English. So, and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran: to Him belong all the beautiful names. So to Him, as Allah, belong all the beautiful names. So that's why there's another surah in Surah Al-Hashr that says, it talks about a few attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned after the name of Allah. So Allah, this name has all of the attributes and the names of Allah. It's just in this name. So here comes a question, like, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Bismillah? Why He said Bismillah? Why He said with the name of Allah? If you go to the meaning, with the help of the name of Allah. So He didn't say with the help of Allah. So why this name comes here? Like, this is, I think, like, a question that I have asked a long time ago, just searching for an answer. Like, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, when you want to ask for help, ask it from my names. It's not from Him directly, So for many years, I can say, I was searching for an answer to this. And one scholar has said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to ask from His name because we cannot comprehend His entity. Whatever, like, even at the time, especially at the time of hardships, especially at the time of when we need something, He says it's not important to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like, to ask about his features and how he is and his entity, because no one can reach that. So he says we use the names because we can comprehend a little bit of the name, but we cannot comprehend anything from the entity. So as if we use the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the times where we need, we feel like when you use the name, you connect with the name according to your need. So at that time, you don't ask all of these logical questions, how Allah is like his entity or whatever, as kids they ask. So at that time, you will be concerned just by that name that attribute that will give you your need. And there's another scholar who says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say with the help of Allah, and he put her names because the Quran says that you have to call Allah by names. And he says as if this name creates a distance which is not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not near, but a distance between this human being and Allah, that whatever we do, we cannot comprehend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Allah. So we always have to come to him through his names, so as if there is a distance, there's a gap. I don't want to say distance because Allah is near, but I want to say there is a gap between the slaves and the masters. So this gap comes with the name. We cannot just go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. So, and doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not near. No, I'm not talking about the distance that he's not near and he answers. No, about this gap between the slave and the master. So this is for Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah. For ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, also the English language, whatever translations they have, they don't give the real meanings of these words. So these words are adjectives, and they are derived from the word rahma, which is mercy. So merciful comes from the word, or other words, the Rahman too comes from the word mercy. And mercy, ar-Rahim, comes from the word ar-Rahim. In the Arabic language, it means the womb of the female. So as if here it's a reflection that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, when he says, okay, I am ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and these words comes from the word rahim, he's like trying to give us this indication that he's that merciful, like a fetus in the womb of his mother. It is the safest place, the most secure place. He gets whatever he wants. He doesn't do, So that's an indication that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the safest place. It is the safest. I don't know what to express, but that His mercy is, it looks like, the mercy of, which is, it's more than the mercy of the mother, the womb of the mother. But since it derived from that word, it gives you the impression about the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Ar-Rahman in the Arabic language, it doesn't mean that he's just merciful. It means the abundance of the mercy. So we may assume, like when we hear the word Ar-Rahman, we may assume that okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy, he's Ar-Rahman. But Rahman in the Arabic language, it means the abundance of the mercy. It doesn't mean just he's merciful. So and here once we have here we have wrong assumptions about how the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy look like. So when we have mercy towards others, or if you see I don't know, a scene, a movie, someone in need or whatever, you will have certain emotions in your heart. You will have certain, I don't know, certain kind of empathy, maybe sympathy. I don't know what we call it. And this thing will have feelings with it. It would have an emotion with it, and then you will act based upon these feelings and emotions, and you will feel. And if someone asks you, you will say, okay, I have mercy to him. I feel like that. But doesn't work like that, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's perspective. So we have to change the way we look about Allah's mercy, and we have not just only Allah's mercy, all of His attributes, that it is not the way human being feels or does or reacts. So my mercy or the human being mercy, it comes from those feelings, from those emotions, from this status that I have. But in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doesn't happen this way. So what I'm trying to say here is don't um, put the assumptions that you have from the human experience on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's features or attributes looks like. So his anger is not like our anger. So in other words, when you are angry from your child or whatever, you will feel like, okay, your face will get red, or you will raise your voice. And sometimes when we do a sin or something, we assume the same. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now is angry, he's red, he don't want to talk to me, how can I pray? So we have to remove all of these wrong assumptions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actions and attributes, they manifest differently than the human assumptions that we have in mind. So abundance or Rahman means the ultimate giving, and it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grace and mercy. So usually scholars say that Rahman is um, is is just for the believers. It's not is for all the believers and the disbelievers, the good doers and the evil doers. And they say because it's ultimate giving and it's abundance, so it is for all people. So even those who are atheists, even those who are they don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even those who do sins, still they get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mercy. So this name Rahman covers all creatures that we know. It's not just for the believers. So that's why there's a hadith from the Prophet. The meaning of that hadith, it says that there are hundred parts of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is divided into 100 parts. Only one part is given to this earth on this world, and the other 99 parts are just for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. So what this means is that only one part of the 100 parts of mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it in this life, in this earth, and the other 99 parts, they are going to be in the hereafter, which means that whatever mercy we are seeing right now is just 1% of his mercy. So that's why they say that even Iblis, the shaitan, at the day of judgment, he will be like, raising his neck up, and he's just looking for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, because it's going to be really abundant at the day of judgment, hopefully. So this is for the Rahman. For the Rahim, this word, they say Rahim is just for the believers. Some scholars, they say like that, most of them, and some of them, they don't really believe in that. They say no, like it doesn't mean that Rahim is just for the believers. So part of them, they say Rahman is for all the people, and Rahim is the specific mercy just given to certain servants, not to all of them. And it's based according to their belief, their good actions. So whatever they do more of good actions and belief and all of that, they will get more of his name Ar-Rahim. And there's one ayah in the Quran that mentions this thing, is that, and he is full of mercy to the believers. This ayah is talking about the day of judgment, and as if he's saying that Allah like he says Rahima, he's full of mercy to the believers. So from this ayah, they said that Rahim is just for the believers, because here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it specific to the believers. Some of them, they say no, it's not the case. So so we are going to talk more about Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, because that's not the only definitions or the only meanings for Rahman and Rahim. More to come when we talk about the third ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha, which is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. We are going to discuss more what does the full abundance means, and what does Rahim means, and why he said the Rahman and Rahim at the same time, why Rahman is before Rahim, why Rahman and Rahim comes directly after Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So we are going to keep some of the definitions for the third ayah. So why, here comes a question that now we know that this is the meaning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We start any action with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking his help to, and asking Allah ar-Rahman and ar-Rahim. So he started by mentioning Allah, and then ar-Rahman, and then ar-Rahim. So here some scholars, they ask a question. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the beginning of the Basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, he mentions his name Allah, which has all of the attributes. So why he mentions again ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the Basmala, So the answer they give to this is that they say that everything that you want to do or get or achieve, you can get it from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do we mean by that? Is that they say if you want rizq, if you want sustenance, if you want health, if you want whatever you want, you get these things basically at the first place because of his mercy. So okay, you may say, okay, I have used Bismillah I have used Allah, the name of Allah, at the beginning of the Basmala, Bismillah. Okay, so I could get anything from this name because it has all of the other attributes. But what scholar says is that, okay, you need shifa, you need healing, you need rizq, you need sustenance, whatever you need. If all of these things, they have to start from his mercy. Because he is merciful, he's going to give you healing. Because he is merciful, he's going to protect you. Because he is merciful, he's going to give you sustenance. So actually, starting with Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim at the beginning of the Basmala, Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, whatever you are going to get, you are going to get because of my mercy. It's not because we deserve it or whatever reasons it is. It is that everything in the universe, everything we want, even the creation, they say even the creation of the whole universe, it started from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he is merciful, he created the universe. Why? Or because he is merciful, he created us. Why? In order to reach him. So without this mercy, we would not be here. So there's a hadith that say like that, because of his mercy we were created so we can reach him. Otherwise we were nothing. No one knew us. We could not reach to him. So what bounty he gave us in order, he created us so we can reach him just because of his mercy. So that's why scholars say Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim is used after Bismillah to say to us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is best approached through Rahmah, through mercy. He gives us because he is merciful. Whatever attributes he has, as if all of the attributes, they work from the key of Rahmah, as if these attributes, they are locked and they have key, and that key is the Rahmah. So all of these attributes work from the Rahmah. So when we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we say the meaning in general, it will be I call help. So this, because we said help with the name, help with, I call help with, this is the ba. So it will be I call help with the name of Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This means Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So here Imam Khomeini says something that and also I think it's mentioned in Tafsir al-Mizan, like each surah that starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim of each surah has a different meaning in every surah. So as we said at the beginning, that the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which is in Surah Al-Fatiha, is different than the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the meaning is different than the meaning in Surah Al-Ikhlas. So Imam Khomeini says the following, the meaning, sorry, what he said, it's not the following, that when we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha, we are showing servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as if we are saying, I call help with the name of Allah, the Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, to show servitude to Allah. Because we will see that Surah Al-Fatiha has so much, like pictures and images of servitude. We will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the beginning of the surah, He says, Rabbil Alameen, the Lord of the Alameen. And then He says, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. You worship and we ask help. So it has a lot of servitude. It has a lot of like we are slaves and he is a master. So that's why Imam Khomeini says that the meaning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the beginning of this surah, it means that I am starting this surah asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his name, the Allah, the Rahman al-Rahim, to help me for showing the servitude, for being a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to show my servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this doesn't mean that, it's just words, like, and that's the importance of Surah Al-Fatiha and always getting back and reflecting on this surah, because this is the surah that we repeat 10 times a day. If we start praying and we just stand to pray each time and we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, and we don't know what we are saying, then that will not be a good salah. There's no good salah, but for us, but it means that um, I'm not able to have this communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when I am praying because I'm not understanding these words. So when I pray now and I have some of the understanding of this surah, I will have a better communication with him when I'm praying. And that's what the purpose of praying. If I pray like we always do, and at the end of the prayer we don't know what we prayed and what we said, and we didn't feel that communication, then that's not the purpose of prayer. That was just an exercise. It's a yoga. So what we want to achieve, we want to achieve that communication that gives us this tranquility, that gives us this peace, that make us away from the sins. So it starts with the reflection of Surah Al-Fatiha. That's why we have all of these ahadith that there is no salat without Al-Fatiha. Even the mustahab salah, you can do any mustahab salah without mentioning the second surah, but there's no salah without Surah Al-Fatiha. So when I start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the beginning of salat, and when I'm beginning to start the Surah Al-Fatiha, I'm asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am asking him with his name, the Allah, the Rahman ar-Rahim, that he gives me, or that he makes me, or that he helps me to show servitude in the salah, to show that I am a real servant in the salah. So that's why here comes the importance of reflecting on the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before each action, because it is different. When I am eating, when I'm going to eat, the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim means something else when I'm going to drink. So that's the importance of being aware. That's the importance of being conscious. Whatever I am doing, I tie it with this intention. So if I have the intention, I'm aware, then I would get the meaning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And again, we say it's not with the letters. It's not I am using the ba and the sa and the Allah and the ar-Rahman and the Rahim. No, we are using the real manifestations of these names. So as if I'm saying to him, with your name, the Allah, and whatever this name Allah has manifestations, all of these attributes, and whatever Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim has all of these attributes, I am asking you to give me the help to show you servitude in this prayer. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with this awareness, like if you are aware, you are conscious, you know what you say, then you are going to get it. So remember when we talked about I think few sessions before when we were talking about the dua or asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Allama in Tafsir al-Mizan, he says why sometimes our prayers are not answered. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clear in the Quran, and he will say every prayer is answered. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that. He said, call me and I will answer you. But part why we don't get our answers, the answers that we want, is that we are not present at the time of dua. We are making this dua, but we are not there. So basically, it is not a dua. It is not considered to be a dua because you are not in a state of asking. It's not a state of calling. So that it's again here the same thing. When I am starting with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha and the beginning of my prayers, and I'm asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with awareness to help me with the manifestation of His names to show servitude. If I'm aware, He's going to help you with that. You are going to get whatever you ask for. But if you do it without awareness, it could be probably a reason why uh, all of us we end the salat and we say assalamu alaikum and we don't know what we said. So basically, it starts with Surah Al-Fatiha, and more than that, it starts with the first words of Surah Al-Fatiha. That's why you can do a trial, like something that you can try yourself. Try for for I know that we should do this all the time, but what I mean by try, I mean like um, when you do it, um, notice the difference. When you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim with this intention, from the beginning of the salah, you will see that probably you will be able to do many parts of the salah with khushu'. But if you start with al basmala without this awareness, you will see that you ended the salah without khushu', without consciousness, without awareness. So that's what I'm trying to say. It starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. To this degree, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is important because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said before doing any action, call on me so I can help. If we are calling on Him to help, but we are not really calling because we are not aware what we are doing, then we don't get the help because actually we are not making the dua. So what I want to say here, just try that we have to try to be aware when we say this basmala and why we are saying it and the meaning and what we can get from this basmala. So I will stop here because next time I'm going to start with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. I don't want to cut this because it has so many details. So I'm going to stop here, and inshallah next time we can resume with the second ayah. Sallallahu ala Rasulillah wa ali bayti Rasulillah.